with big news on a potential return for WrestleMania and more. This is Wrestling Hub. My name is John and you're watching the Wrestling Report for March 22nd. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at WrestlingHubOfficial and also follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. With many seeing Vince McMahon as a ruthless businessman and decision maker, Austin Theory would tell TV Insider that during his time working with him, he's learned that's not the case. For me, there has always been the stigma of Vince McMahon that he is not nice or one way about stuff, that it's his way or no way. From what I've seen in my experience, he is on another level. All the hats he wears. He is so invested in everybody and somehow makes everything work. I think that's so crazy to see him doing it for that long and staying that sharp. If I have a question or see anybody have a question and they want to talk to him, they always get an answer. They always get a conversation. I think that is so cool to really see the passion he still has for what he does. It hasn't left him at all. For me personally, it is cool to know that this man's a billionaire and still working like he has $1,000 in his bank account. Theory would also explain where his goofy on-screen personality comes from. The whole character in the way was my idea. I was basically always playing this serious wrestler. I was not really being myself. No matter what you do, you should be able to still show who you are and give an authentic feel. I think that is what makes you connect to any character. I was just supposed to be this bodyguard behind Johnny Gargano. I asked Johnny Gargano himself while we filmed this Christmas special if we could try something. He was like, sure. I just did my goofy comedy I like to do. Even in real life, I like to have a good time and make people laugh. Sure enough, it worked and they liked it. I think it gave me a huge opening. Ahead of his Hall of Fame induction, The Undertaker spoke on the Out of Character podcast about the contrasting receptions he and other pro wrestlers received from fans. It was funny, like back in the day, we actually did not have security guards and we used to come out of the arena and you would be on your own to make it to your car. And especially those first, I don't know, maybe those first 4 years, like when everybody else came out, they would just get mobbed. When I would come out through the back door and Paul Bearer would be with me, the people would open up. They would be just like, they would just move away from me, and I didn't have to say anything. I didn't have to yell at anybody. It was really, people did not know how to take me, and that was telling me you're doing something right, and it just kind of became my way of life. Since being let go from WWE, Matt Cardona has gone on an incredible run on the independent circuit. On Straight to Hell, the NWA champion was asked about making a return to WWE, to which he replied, "If Vince McMahon called me, or Bruce Pritchard or John Laurinaitis called me, of course I would pick up. Of course I would have a conversation. Why wouldn't I? I'd be lying right now if I said I never want to wrestle at Madison Square Garden, or I never want to wrestle at WrestleMania again. Anybody who says that is lying, quite frankly. But I'm not doing what I'm doing now hoping to get back. I don't do what I do thinking, oh man, what do I have to do to get back to WWE, or what do I have to do to get AEW to look at me? No, I'm doing me. If those opportunities present itself, great, but the state of pro wrestling is on fire right now. You don't need to be in those two companies. I'm trying to prove you don't need it." On his podcast, WWE legend Gangrel noted how he was able to secure the rights to his name in the company. Because Gangrel was a clan, not a vampire but a vampire clan, but whatever, I had to portray the character for all this time. But still, you couldn't use it in certain ways. And WWE kind of abandoned all hope on that name. They just pressed it to the side. Somewhere in the process, there were some things that weren't filled, and I ended up getting the rights to Gangrel. Its trademark is registered everywhere for sports entertainment, clothing lines, action figures, for whatever. I have it now. I have the trademark registry to Gangrel. I think stuff like that pisses Vince McMahon off personally and in a corporate sense. To avoid all of that, they just give people their own names. They just messed up on that one. They don't want you to take what they've spent 3 years investing, which is kind of crappy on their part, but it's just business, and go somewhere else. They want you to have to go change your name. It's just a business thing for them. I gotta stay on it and keep filing things. After being pulled from the Elimination Chamber match last month, Bobby Lashley was reportedly injured for weeks heading into the event. Now PW Insider has reported that Lashley was at AT&T Stadium in Dallas last week, as WWE is hoping he'll be clear to come back at WrestleMania. Fightful would report last weekend that Lashley was anticipated to be the opponent for Omos at the event, as the company is hoping for a surprise return. Speaking of WrestleMania, WWE and virtual restaurant company Nextbite are working together to create a WWE-themed delivery-only restaurant in Dallas. It is called WWE Smackadias and will be available through DoorDash, Grubhub, and Uber Eats. Chief Growth Officer for Nextbite, Jeff Maddings, had this to say about the partnership. WWE is one of the premier sports and entertainment organizations in the world and is known for giving their passionate fanbase exactly what they want. Whether you order WWE Smackadias from the comfort of your couch or on your way home from WrestleMania, we look forward to amping up the total WWE experience with these delicious quesadillas for all the hungry fans in the Dallas area. Remembering the late great Scott Hall, Matt Hardy mentioned how much of an impact Hall had on his and his brother's career early on in WWE. It was very sad how it just came out of left field. This happened. He had surgery and these heart attacks. Once again, a very drastic and stark reminder of how tomorrow isn't promised. And that's how I try to live my life every day now. You have to really enjoy each and every day and every moment you have. Our expression is to live for the moment, and there is a lot of truth to that, because no one is guaranteed tomorrow, especially as you get older. I think about that a lot for all of us. But the thing with Scott Hall was that it was out of the blue and such a strong and real reminder that nobody is guaranteed tomorrow, and just enjoy every moment of life and also be good to people as well. Scott was very cool to us. We had a lot of good fun stories with him. I'll never forget the second day I was with WWE. Obviously the first day Jeff wrestled him, he was 16 years old and it was under very strange circumstances, where the match was very frustrating with Scott Hall because the guy he was supposed to wrestle said he couldn't take his finish. He was a little frustrated wrestling with Jeff, and that ended up working in Jeff's favor because he formed a little bond with him after that. The next night I was wrestling with him, and I remember he said, "When I'm in the corner, poke me in the eyes. Give me 3 or 4 chops, I'll turn around and give you some." And I got 2 really good ones in that rang out loud in the arena. I had a second one and he stopped me right then and there and turned me around and said, "Easy kid, you had 2 really good ones. I couldn't let you outshine me out there though." Jeff Hardy would then talk about how much it meant to work with Scott Hall. My way with words can be confusing at times. I'm still trying to figure out the right things to say social media wise as far as how big of an inspiration and influence he was on our careers. Even that first match and that hard ass WWE ring back in the day, you had to be like Andre the Giant to make him move. It was terrible. Him being real stiff and roughing me up, I totally second guessed my love for pro wrestling. I don't know if I'm cut out to do this. I didn't like it. I didn't like that match at all. It really hurt. It wasn't fun. And then the next day I wrestled 1-2-3 kid Sean Waltman, and he totally refilled my soul as far as wrestling goes. Then moving forward, Scott Hall was so kind because he thought I looked like Vanilla Ice, and the clique started calling me Ice. And I'll never forget one time he told Pat Patterson, I was like 16 or 17 too, "Let's get this kid on the road, get him seasoned. I'm not even legal yet." There's something very special to what he saw. He saw my future through whatever it was, and he believed in us every step of the way, and that's rare, man. It was meant to be that night, and that guy didn't want to wrestle him, and naturally I was all about it. I was so nervous. I thought it was live TV, and this is when they were filming 3 or 4 Raws in one night, and Matt was on live TV that night. Anyway, it was wild, man. It was not fun, and he was so apologetic because my knee hit the post and he kicked me in the head. It was rough, but yeah, I'm still trying to figure out the right way to express my love for him and deep sorrow for him leaving this earth. On Raw this week, Stone Cold Steve Austin's music would hit and the crowd went nuts. Then Kevin Owens came out dressed as Austin to deafening boos. Taking to Twitter, AEW commentator Taz would note that Don Callis came out to Kenny Omega's entrance theme at Revolution a couple weeks ago. A fan would say that these segments have been done for a while in the wrestling business, as Taz responded, and Chris Candido came out dressed like me to my music, and that was probably mid-90s. Obviously, it's not nothing new, but it was just done so recently. I would expect expect more from a company with 76,000 writers. A fan would then say that Vince McMahon is living rent-free in Taz's head, to which he replied, "Oh, please get out of here, dude. I'm just trying to have some fun with fans on here. Here is a history lesson. I quit their company. My choice, do the math." Very ridiculous statement by you, and I don't need your disingenuous BS, all due respect. Have a nice day. With most of the matches for WrestleMania set in stone, many online are upset with WWE for not having any non-title women's matches for the event, as one user wrote. So Omos can get a random singles match at WrestleMania, but the women can't get even one non-title match on the card? It's like they ain't caring about the women anymore, which is sick. But they just don't have enough room on the card. Like, they literally have so many matches they made it into 2 days of shows. They could have made at least 3 of those matches into non-title women's matches. Do they have enough women not booked to fill those matches? Maybe. They'd rather just shove them all in the match for the meaningless women's tag team titles. I mean, the creative team is bankrupt creatively. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.